Just a quick discussion of the project part one, right? Both A and B have been up there now for a little while, but I just want to kind of walk through some general notes that I put in here, right? I made on part A, because in this situation we actually have an entity with two lookup values, you might say, right? The athlete, you have a lookup for the contingent and you have a lookup for the sport that they participate in. So it brings up the question, well, if we're going to filter, do we filter by one or the other or both, right? So I'm going to make it, you can just filter by one or the other as a bonus if you want to add the ability to filter by the combination of both at the same time, right? Then I have a suggestion. You have multiple get actions, one for each filter and one for the combined filter. That's an easy way to set it up. So, just the client will know that if I want to filter by both, I call this particular action, right? And away you go. Now I do have a solution published, okay, for the part A. So you can use it to compare yours as you're working on it, see if you're getting the same kind of output. I've also enabled Swagger on it, so you can use the Swagger interface for it. But I've given you some example links to do things like, it has the bonus in place. So just by filter and then you pass the two filters or one or the other, right? You can use it for filtering an individual one as well. It's quite flexible that way. Okay? So that's all available to you. But just a quick note, I had to make a little update in the instructions themselves. So let me just get the instruction up here. In the A part, I made it bold so it should stand out nicely. Oh, I've got to sign my life away here. Hang on. Okay, I just added this in bold here. You're only required to create actions for insert, update, and delete on the athlete controller. I hadn't asked you to do it anywhere else, but I had a student asking me, so I thought, oh, maybe I should make an effort to clarify. And even in my posted solution, you notice I have get actions ready to go for contingent and sport, but I don't have in my posted solution the ability to add, update, or delete either one as well. So we're just focusing really on the athlete in the web API. Okay, so just mentioning that change. Now for the part B, what I really want to emphasize here is your choice of client, right? You're welcome to do a UWP as we've done, or a Maui as we had a look at as well, although there's some challenges to working with Maui as we recognize on our image. But if you want to play around with Blazor or Blazor Hybrid, hey, I'm open to any of those. Right? And if you want to do, this is in the instructions, but if you have another favorite client you want to use that will work with a web API, just send me an email and say, hey, Dave, can I do a blank, right? Whatever the case may be. And odds are I'll just say yes, right? But I would ask you to just check with me first, right? So basically the requirements are the same no matter what tool you decide to use, right? We want to be able to see a list of athletes filtered by sport or contingent, okay, with all options. We need to be able, and obviously if you do that bonus, then you might want to add the ability to do both, right? Ability to add, update, or delete athletes, including reassigning them from one contingent or sport to another, okay? Make sure all the error information, follow those good practices we looked at, bundling up as much detail about errors in the response being sent back from the web API, and then now on the client side, you want to take that information and give as much feedback to the user, right? Again, we don't have to update or maintain the sports or contingents, just the athlete, okay? All right, and then it mentions there about the bonus ability to filter for both at the same time, and away you go. Okay. By the way, I mentioned that if you didn't incorporate that into your web API, you can alternatively do it on the client, right? You could just go and filter for the one or the other, and then when you get the data down to the client, you could filter it there for the other, right? So if you filtered for contingent, just got data for all the people in one contingent, you could filter on the client side for the sport as well. Not very efficient because you're moving all that data from the server down to the client just to throw it in the garbage can, but it is something you could do as well, right? Anyway, so when you're done the whole thing, please, even though you've got your part A published to Azure, I still want to see the code, right? So bundle up both into a zip archive or separate zip archives, that's fine, and submit, right? Make sure you include a link to the project published up in Azure. And just a comment as you submit in the comments area. Just, everything done, all working, A1, or, I had trouble with this part in this area, whatever, right? It really helps me when I go to market if you can identify where there's any issues, so I can give you actually, very expedited feedback on it as well. So that's basically it. That's all there is for the, now you can't even submit it till a certain date, right? And then, of course, once you do submit it, there is a final deadline as well. All right, any questions about that? Okay. All right.